In 2012, in the bustling city of New York, a seemingly innocent Craigslist post would set in motion a chain of events that would lead to the disappearance of a young college student. This student, desperate for something more in life, offered a MacBook, a prized possession, for trade. But he wasn't looking for cash or a simple item in return. Instead, he wanted what he described as a serious life-changing experience. Little did he know, this post would lead him into a deal far darker than anything he could have imagined. Within days, a mysterious buyer responded, and a meeting was arranged. The details of that meeting remain shrouded in mystery, but the aftermath would forever alter the life of the student. What seemed like an innocent trade spiraled into something far more sinister, something that ultimately led to his disappearance and an eerie search history. How to break a deal with the devil. In this video, we explore the mysterious Craigslist deal, the strange events that followed, and the inexplicable disappearance of a young man who made a fateful decision that cost him everything. Was this an innocent trade gone wrong, or did the student unknowingly sell his soul? It all started with a post on Craigslist, a website known for everything from job listings to selling used items. The post, made by a college student living in New York City, was straightforward at first glance. The student, whose name has been kept private for legal reasons, was offering his MacBook in exchange for something more. But the description quickly grew strange and cryptic. The student's ad read, "MacBook for trade. Looking for a serious life-changing experience. Let me know what you have." At first, it seemed like a bizarre but innocent request. The idea of trading a valuable laptop for a life-changing experience sounded like a metaphor or an odd joke. But it didn't take long for the post to attract attention, particularly from someone who seemed to understand exactly what the student was asking for. The mysterious buyer's reply came quickly and was as equally vague. The buyer suggested a meeting to discuss the deal in person. The student, intrigued and perhaps a bit naive, agreed to meet. Little did he know, this meeting would become the first step into a terrifying journey that he could never escape. On the day of the meeting, the college student met the buyer in a public place, as one would when completing a transaction like this. Descriptions of the buyer vary, but those who have reported on the case mention a man who appeared to be well-dressed, calm, and unsettlingly charismatic. He did not appear to be a typical buyer. There was something off about him. He seemed to know exactly what the student wanted, but not in a conventional way. The deal was struck. The student handed over his MacBook, and in return, he was promised a life-changing experience, one that would grant him everything he desired. The exact terms of the deal were never clearly explained, but the student would later tell his roommate that he had made a deal he couldn't undo. The conversation was vague, but the implications of what transpired in those few moments were profound. The student felt an immediate shift in his life after the exchange, a change that was subtle at first, but soon became overpowering. Shortly after the deal was made, the student began to exhibit strange behavior. His roommates noticed that he was becoming increasingly paranoid, often avoiding mirrors and refusing to look at his own reflection. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, and he claimed to be hearing voices that seemed to come from within his own mind. His once easygoing personality was replaced with an overwhelming sense of fear and unease. As the days went by, the student's mental state worsened. He would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, and speak in fragmented sentences about the deal he had made and how it was beginning to feel like a burden he could no longer carry. His paranoia grew to such an extent that he became convinced that someone, or something, was watching him constantly, just waiting for him to break. Despite his roommate's attempts to comfort him, the student became more withdrawn. He spent long hours in his room, rarely leaving. He refused to eat, claiming that he had no appetite for anything. It was clear that whatever he had signed up for in that brief interaction with the mysterious buyer was beginning to consume him. The strange behavior continued for 2 weeks, with the student only growing more unhinged, and then one night he simply vanished. The student's sudden disappearance left his roommate and friends in a state of confusion and panic. No one knew where he had gone or why he hadn't returned. His room was empty, and his belongings were left behind as if he had never intended to leave. The police were called, but after weeks of searching, they found no trace of the student, no clues, no evidence, nothing that would explain his sudden disappearance. Theories began to circulate. Was he a runaway? Did he leave voluntarily? Or had something sinister happened to him? Some of his friends speculated that he had been involved in something dangerous, while others believed that the student had simply lost his mind, but the truth remained elusive. Days after the disappearance, an eerie discovery was made. The student's beloved MacBook was found in a pawn shop in a nearby neighborhood. The laptop had been sold for a fraction of its worth, with no identification from the buyer. The pawnshop owner reported that the buyer was unremarkable and didn't seem to be acting suspiciously. The MacBook, however, was not the most unsettling thing found. The student's last online search was revealed: How to Break a Deal with the Devil. The chilling final search left investigators and friends alike wondering whether the student had unknowingly made a deal with a supernatural force that he couldn't escape. A deal that had cost him everything. The most popular theory surrounding the student's disappearance is that he unknowingly made a deal with the devil. According to those who believe in the supernatural, the student traded his soul in exchange for the promise of something more: wealth, fame, or power, only to discover too late that the cost was far too great. Some suggest that the laptop was symbolic, a physical representation of the transaction with the dark forces. After all, the offer was strange and vague. What does a life-changing experience mean if it isn't something devastating? The strange, cryptic behavior following the exchange, coupled with his final search for a way to break the deal, only supports the theory that the student was trapped in a binding contract with a force beyond his comprehension. Others argue that the disappearance could be explained more logically. Perhaps he met someone dangerous or got involved in illegal activity he couldn't escape. But the presence of the pawned laptop and the final search query leaves open the possibility that something far more sinister was at play. The eerie conclusion of this story lies not just in the student's disappearance, but in the implications of the MacBook itself. Some believe that the laptop, once a symbol of the student's future, became an instrument of his doom, a tool through which the deal with the devil was made. It's a chilling reminder that even the most innocent-seeming transactions could have terrifying consequences. The student's last search, How to Break a Deal with the Devil, is a haunting echo of his regret and his realization that the deal he thought would bring him power and success would only lead to loss and despair. In the end, he may have learned too late that some deals are far too dangerous to make, and some souls are too valuable to trade. The mystery of the college student who traded his soul for a MacBook remains unsolved, and the chilling implications of his disappearance continue to haunt those who knew him. Did he truly make a pact with the devil, or was his fate the result of a tragic and unexplainable series of events? The unanswered questions linger, and the story serves as a stark reminder of the power of temptation, fear, and regret. The chilling discovery of the student's last online search will forever remain a symbol of a deal that can never be undone, a warning for all who seek shortcuts to success, and a reminder that not everything comes without a cost.